Public Affairs programming on WQPT is brought to you by the Singh Group at Merrill Lynch, serving the wealth management needs of clients in the region for over 25 years.
It's all about the entertainment. Next month, the Cities hosts a new music festival that should be a gas, plus a new theater set to take the stage in the Cities. Iowa is looking to balance its budget, but some of the cuts could come at the expense of the arts. How that will impact one local program that supports authors in the Cities. But first, the case of Stanley Liggins. It's a 1990 murder case involving Jennifer Lewis, a Rock Island girl who was kidnapped, raped, and murdered. Her smoldering body was later found in Davenport. The man arrested was family friend Stanley Liggins. Liggins will be back in court this month for one of the first hearings needed before his third murder trial begins. WVIK Radio's Lacey Scarmana and journalist Scott Reeder have put together a podcast reviewing the case, peeling away at the layers like an onion.
I'm Lacey Scarmana from WVIK Quad Cities NPR. A few months ago, former Quad City Times newspaper reporter Scott Reeder came to me with a story. Back in 1990, when he was the night police reporter, he was told to go cover a fire reported at an elementary school.
Instead of seeing a trash fire, I saw a child who had been doused with gasoline and set on fire.
The body was 9-year-old Jennifer Ann Lewis.
The street lights come on, it's getting dark, she's supposed to be home before the street lights come on. She wasn't home yet, so I'm thinking she's just out there playing with a friend. She never came home.
Jennifer had been sexually abused, strangled, and set on fire.
Seeing her laying there smoldering just tore you up. It's one of those cases that never leave you, and Stanley's making sure of that.
Stanley Liggins has been charged and convicted twice for this murder, but both convictions have been overturned. Suspect Convictions is a podcast from WVIK and Scott Reeder. We are re-examining Jennifer's murder and the case against Stanley Liggins.
Stanley's the guy that we see with her, and it's a car that Stanley's using that's seen with all of these places.
The interstate jurisdictional issues, the suppression issues, there were a lot of evidentiary issues.
Don't be misled by dramatizations about circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence is evidence.
He looked at and or processed 10,000 items of evidence and never found anything that connected Jennifer and Stanley.
Stanley will go to trial for a third time in May, more than 2 decades after the crime was committed. He has always proclaimed his innocence.
I mean, I like cheese, but I'm not a rat. I like kids, but not like that.
Suspect Convictions will launch January 9th at suspectconvictions.com. And it will air on WVIK Friday evenings at 7:30, beginning January 13th.
And joining us is WVIK radio producer Lacey Scarmana and journalist Scott Reeder, the reporters who put together Suspect Convictions. Thank you both for joining us. Lacey, let me start with you. Tell me a little bit about the genesis of this project.
It actually came from Scott. He came to the news director at WVIK, Herb Tricks, with the idea. He said, I have these interview tapes. I'm working on a book about this case that happened here in the Quad Cities, and asked if we wanted to partner with him. And my boss, Jay Pierce, said, yeah, Lacey will do that.
Jump right at
so here
that,
we
right? What is it about the Stanley Liggins case that seems to still be, what is it, still eating at you in some ways?
Yeah, it really is. You know, I was one of the first people at the scene that night. I was the night cop reporter for the Quad City Times. I didn't know I was going to a body scene. I just knew it was a small fire at a school playground at 9 o'clock at night, and walked across the playground. There were some police officers already there, and when I got to the fire, instead of being a trash fire, which I was expecting, it was a 9-year-old girl that had been doused with gasoline. And, you know, that's the most horrible thing I've seen in my life. It is just horrific. And I hope that'll be the worst thing I ever do see.
Yeah.
people ask me, why are you doing this book? Why are you doing this podcast? And it's really simple. You know, you and I have been in the news business a long time, Jim, and we talk about cases like JonBenet Ramsey, and we talk about cases like Elizabeth Smart, and those cases are decades old, but we still remember them. Mm-hmm. And why do we remember them? Because these were children from wealthy families. Jennifer was not from a wealthy family. She was from a family that had a pretty rough go of it. She was born into very difficult circumstances. She lived in a rough area. Things weren't always great for her, but her life counts, and we need to remember that. We need to remember that her life had significance. It matters, and that's why I think it's really important we remember this case and we look at it closely as it comes back up for retrial.
Do you think Jennifer Lewis has gotten justice yet?
Well, right now no one has been convicted in the case, so I would say no. Now, whether they have accused the right person or not, that's an open question.
You weren't here at that time, but what have you learned? I mean, what is your impression of this case at this point?
It's really interesting. I mean, you're talking about a case that happened in 1990, was tried in 93 and 95, and plucking it from that time period into 2017 is really interesting because you know you're dealing with issues of possible police misconduct or race and different things that we're still talking about today. So it's interesting to look at this case through a new lens.
And Scott, what kind of new lens do you think it is? I mean, what is being uncovered now that wasn't known some 20 years ago?
Well, we're finding a lot of different things. I mean, we've talked to a lot of folks who've talked about Jennifer's life and some of the difficult things that she's went through. We talked to a person who investigates allegations of child abuse. She reviewed the case, and there was never any actions taken, but this was back when she was living in the central Iowa. We've talked to witnesses that were in the case. We've talked to a lot of different folks. It's interesting. It's just a difficult case. You know, if you read the appellate court documents, there's an allegation that 78 police reports were withheld from the defense. The prosecution denies that being the case, but an appellate court found that, yes, they believe that was indeed the case. We find that also in the appellate court documents that there was a key witness in the case who was accused of, who had said she recognized some taillights in the story, and it never came out that she before the trial she was a paid police informant. And so there's some things there that are troubling that have come to light and really need to be re-examined.
This is another one of those cases that relied heavily upon circumstantial evidence.
Almost exclusively on circumstantial evidence.
And let's be honest, in so many different ways, circumstantial evidence can be viewed in one way or another.
Exactly.
Is that one of the prime concerns in this particular case?
It's primarily an argument, I think, of proximity. Stanley Liggins is a guy who's done a lot of bad things in his life. He had served 7 years in prison in Mississippi for armed robbery. He was out on bond, awaiting trial in another sex abuse case. But when he was arrested, he was a bad guy, or at least viewed as a very bad guy at the time, who had access to the family. And I think that's why they really focused in on him early on.
And now it's being made, or has been made, of course, into a podcast that's continuing to run on WVIK as well. But this podcast has captured, what do you call it, the internet. I mean, the worldwide, you've gotten such a response.
Yeah, people have been really interested in it. I mean, people are, I think, always drawn to the true crime type stories. And in this case, I think we've done a little bit of a different approach than I've seen in other programs. We're not advocating for his innocence or for his guilt. We are just putting out the facts as we know them and following up with people who are involved. So it's not either of us going on there and saying, oh, I think that he's guilty because of this, or I think he's innocent because of this. It's just, here's what we know, here's what's going to be talked about, and it's being talked about 27 years after the murder happened. So trying to figure out how that's going to be tried is really interesting.
Because I'm thinking that almost relitigating something from 27 years ago is very difficult, I would think, particularly for the court system, maybe a little easier for journalists.
Yeah, I think it's given us, as journalists, access to more people who maybe wouldn't have talked at the time, while wounds are fresh maybe, but people have been really cooperative. We've talked to Jennifer's family, we've talked to Stanley's family, the former prosecutor and defense attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
So we've talked to people who have been involved in it, and I think, like you said, the time that's passed has helped that.
Well, and Scott, this case now is going to be moving forward as we speak.
It sure is. I mean, it's going to be coming up for retrial in May. We're going to have some hearings next month. Gosh, it's hard to believe February begins this week, but there's going to be a lot of things to bring it back into the news. I mean, one of the other groups of people that we talked to that we weren't talked to 27 years ago or wouldn't talk were the jurors in the case. Mm-hmm. And that was fascinating, talking to them and getting their insights into why they voted the way they did.
Was it, well, we're talking about 24 people now, I mean, two different juries. I mean, was it a wide range of opinions? I mean, obviously they gave guilty verdicts.
Yes.
But for different reasons.
For different reasons. And, there was a man from South Africa on the first jury who, how would you describe it, Lacey?
He was very racist. He shared beliefs that were false, and he was justifying them with some kind of scientific reasoning. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, they were false and inappropriate, and it's interesting to wonder, how much that could have played into the whole scenario. He was on the jury with his wife, too, so.
That's very odd.
That's very
odd. But he was saying, and we had him on tape saying this, and he's saying that he believed white people evolved to have larger brains than black people, and he had some other thoughts on race that were troubling. And no matter how you feel in this case, I don't think anybody would want to have somebody with those kind of views on their jury.
Well, Lacey, you were saying that you don't really want to draw an opinion from your reporting, let the listener draw theirs. But do you see some similarities to Making of a Murderer? Because that's what everyone's going to link it to. I mean, do you think this is the case?
I guess I could see how that would happen. I don't know. What's interesting is that listeners can certainly listen and draw their own conclusion, but we're also going to have a resolution very soon. The trial's coming up in May. There will be an answer. So no matter what people are thinking now, we'll have some sort of decision here in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, but Scott, you've been through 2 trials. Will the third be definitive, one wonders?
I think it probably will be. I think that it's going to be a really difficult trial for a lot of reasons. One is you got a lot of the witnesses in the case have died, so they're just going to be rereading the testimony to the judge or the jury. We don't know if it's going to be a bench trial or a jury trial yet. You're also going to have be asking people to remember what they saw 26 years ago. And I don't know about you, Jim, but I have a hard time remembering what I had for lunch last week, let alone what exactly happened 26 years ago.
Which makes creating a conviction or a possibility of a conviction so much more difficult.
One would think it'd be more challenging, although I've talked to Bill Davis, the former prosecutor, and he said he has yet to see a case that's come back for retrial where the prosecution's argument didn't get better.
Interesting. And as you said, time will tell. Trial starts, they're scheduled to start in May, but of course some of the hearings are already going to be starting right now.
But if your viewers would like to listen to the podcast, they can just find it on iTunes or most other podcast platforms. It's called Suspect Convictions.
Thank you so much. Lacey Scarmana, Scott Reeder, good of you to join us.
Thank
and
you.
Once again, it is Suspect Convictions, which you can find on the WVIK radio website as well at WVIK.org. In a moment, Iowa arts facing cuts from the state. But first, Laura Adams is ready to welcome the month of February and all the great events that help celebrate the shortest month of the year. Here's Laura heading out and about.
This is Out and About for January 30th through February 5th. Hi, I'm Laura Adams. You'll find everything for the home at the annual QCCA Home Show Expo coming February 3rd through 5th. The Luther College Symphony Orchestra performs a free concert at the Bettendorf High School Performing Arts Center. Ballet Quad Cities program Dance Me a Story will be at the Rock Island Library on Ridgewood Road February 1st. There's a lot of trivia. Girls on the Run Quad Cities Trivia will be at the Rock Reception Facility in Cole Valley February 3rd. Trivia Night for a Cure at the Knights of Columbus in Davenport supports the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And Youth Hope Trivia Night at the Youth Hope Moline Center is also on the 4th. The Augustana Jazz Ensemble will perform their winter concert at Centennial Hall, followed by the Jenny Lind Vocal Ensemble presenting Anchored and Unbound, Songs of Faith, Hope, and Freedom. The Quad City Symphony Orchestra Masterworks Concert, joined by a river, performs at the Adler Theater on the 4th and at Centennial Hall on the 5th. Crimes of the Heart, where three sisters come to terms with their own crimes of the heart, is performed at the Bruner Theater Center on the Augustana campus. The Black Box Theater presents the comedic satire Murderers by Jeffrey Hatcher at the new Downtown Moline Theater through February 11th. Circa 21 presents Ghost the Musical, bringing to life all of the excitement, chills, and romance of the beloved movie, with the addition of a sparkling musical score. For more information, visit wqpt.org.
Thank you, Laura. We're happy to highlight the local artists who are bringing original music to the cities in conjunction with the River Music Experience. We get to feature Chris Dunn, who has played on the RME community stage several times. Today, we get to hear him play Vegetable Parade.
Red pepper, calling in the night. Beautiful to look at and you taste so right. You are my friend and I'll take a bite. Red pepper, calling in the night. Cucumber, oh what a treat. I carefully peel you when you're ready to eat. I'll eat you standing up and when I'm in my seat. Cucumber, oh what a treat. Carrot, oh carrot, my old friend. I love you from the first and I love you to the end. You are orange and crunchy and you don't bend. Carrot, oh carrot, my old friend. Come join the vegetable parade. When you eat your veggies, you got it made. Can't think of anything I'd rather do than eat yummy vegetables and sing with you. Asparagus, you make me feel good. Eat you I will and eat you I should. In the springtime garden, you're my favorite food. Asparagus, you make me feel good. Brussels sprouts, oh what a feast. When I was a youngster, I must confess you were my least. But at the California potluck, you got transformed by an artiste. Brussels sprouts, oh what a feast. Come join the vegetable parade. When you eat your veggies, you got it made. Can't think of anything I'd rather do than eat yummy vegetables and sing with you. Broccoli, you are so green. If you're raw or if you're cooked, I'm still keen. I'm thinking about a stir fry and you are the queen. Broccoli, you are so green. And the green beans, what will I do? I'll put you on a chopping board and I'll commence to chew, or I'll chop you on a cutting board with a little bit of kung fu. Green beans, what will I do? Radish, oh radish, of you I sing. I put you in my salad for a little bit of zing, or I plant you in my garden in the early spring. Radish, to you I sing. Come join the vegetable parade. When you eat your veggies, you got it made. Can't think of anything I'd rather do than eat yummy vegetables and sing with you. Can't think of anything I'd rather do than eat yummy vegetables and sing with you.
That's folk singer Chris Dunn on the RME community stage with Vegetable Parade. Supporting the arts can sometimes be a contentious issue in the halls of government. Should public tax money even be used to fund the arts? And if so, at what level? Iowa lawmakers are looking to cut more than $100 million from its budget, and some of that money, $6 million, could come at the expense of arts programs in the state. Joining us is Ryan Collins, the executive director of the Midwest Writing Center. And Ryan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks
when
for
you
having me.
hear about the Iowa legislature announcing cuts in the Iowa Cultural Trust, that sends shivers down the spines of the arts community, especially a group like yours that does receive money from that council.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when people hear about arts funding, they think about that money going to individual artists to do their individual work, and I think a lot of times people don't make the connection that those programs fund a lot of organizations, a lot of public art, a lot of education. Just in our community, there's hundreds of jobs that are involved with the arts in some way, and that work generates millions of dollars, both for state and local governments, as well as for private businesses and things like that. So it's not just kind of supporting individual artists to kind of do their thing. I mean, it's really kind of a foundational part of any community, I think.
Well, and let's be honest, Midwest Writing Center is total outreach. I mean, you're reaching so many different people and trying to instill even confidence in different genres of writing.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, a lot of it too is education. I think a lot of the arts, a lot of public funding for the arts ends up going in one way or another to education, whether that's amplifying and enhancing what's going on in our schools, or whether that's offering programs that maybe schools just don't have the capacity to offer. Our focus is on writing, so we have a lot of youth programs, both generated to encourage students to read more and be more literate, but also to work on developing their writing, not just for creative purposes, but for professional purposes, academic purposes. We have jobs programs for young people. So the majority of funding that we get in one way or another goes to education, whether that's to young writers, whether that's helping adult writers who might just be starting out, develop their skills. A lot of different educational outreach, and not just our organization. I mean, I think every arts organization in the Quad Cities has some sort of like educational bent.
If they cut money from the Iowa Cultural Trust to you, how big of an impact will that be? Have you been able to figure out how much might be lost and what the impact might be?
We're fortunate. A lot of our funding comes from private trusts and things like that in the area, so we're fortunate in that way. I do know a lot of people in the area and beyond and throughout the state of Iowa who are very concerned about this because it impacts not only revenue for communities, but also jobs. Like these, all of that supports, just in our community, there are hundreds of arts jobs. So if that funding goes away, those are fewer jobs, and it just sort of metastasizes, I think. Like the kind of fallout from that isn't just individual artists not getting to, pursue their work or have a gallery show or something like that. It impacts people, paying their bills and like having a decent living, being able to earn a decent living and things like that.
Well, we start a new year. It's January, and you've got a lot going on that kicks off the new year, and one of them is the 9th annual Iron Pen Contest. Registrations are starting right now.
They're open now, yes.
And are continuing. Tell me a little bit about that, because it's kind of an exciting time, because this is such a great competition you have going on.
Yeah, we're getting geared up. We have a lot of programming coming up in the spring, and the Iron Pen is sort of the kickoff. It's a 24-hour writing contest, so if you pre-register, we send out a prompt, we put it up on social media and through various outlets. And then writers have 24 hours to respond to that prompt with a poem, a nonfiction piece, or a fiction story, 2,000 words or less for the prose. And everybody who enters the contest is up for a drawing to go to our writing conference for free in the summer. We have a big 3-day writing conference at St. Ambrose. It's kind of our signature program. So that's like a $260 value to attend that. So it's a fun contest. People always generate interesting work. It kind of forces people out of their comfort zone and forces people to work a little faster than they normally do. But it also gives them the opportunity to kind of grow their skills and take some workshops with some real world-class writers that we have coming in June.
And I'm sure you want to encourage, I mean, some people might be intimidated by this whole thing and not want to get involved. Iron Pen, 9th annual, you've seen some of the best of local writers. I mean, everyone should get involved in something like this.
I think it's excellent practice, yeah. I mean, it's we always get great feedback feedback every year. People like, oh, I was a little apprehensive, but it was a lot of fun, and I was really happy with what I came up with. And the winners from the previous year are the judges, so we keep it in house like that. So, and a lot of times those are kind of beginning writers. That's maybe the first writing contest that they've won, but they know what it's like to produce work for this particular contest. So it's an interesting sort of continuum that we've built up, and there's really not a lot of writing contests like that, not just around here, but in general. So we're proud of it, and we hope we get a lot of registrations.
You also have the poetry residency now open. Tell me a little bit about that and who you're looking for.
So yeah, we're open for applications. We do a poetry residency every other year. Most of the events take place in the fall. There's an application process. It's free to apply, but we select one poet. They do a couple of workshops. They do kind of school outreach, educational outreach, like I was talking about. They do a couple featured readings. We print like a limited edition letterpress broadside, which is sort of like a poem with some visual art on it. So it's a chance not only to showcase literature in our community, but it's also an opportunity for the poet in residence to kind of push themselves a little bit more, take someone who's maybe just starting to publish or just starting to write, give them a little exposure, a little bit of career development, kind of a push in the right direction, hoping that momentum continues forward for them.
For the longest time, you've been located in downtown Davenport, and now you've got a new home in the Rock Island Library. What does that provide for you and to people that want to get involved in the center?
Primarily, I think it's great to be in a library. Our mission is not just to serve writers, it's to serve readers as well. So being in a library, I mean, what better place could there be to connect readers with writers? And not just, well-known writers that come from out of town to lead workshops and things like that, but there's a lot of terrific writers doing all kinds of work in our community. And I don't know that they always get maybe the exposure that the musicians or the visual artist or the theater arts get. So it's great to be there. We've only been there for a couple months, but we're gearing up for a big spring, and we're hoping to see a lot of people come through for all the workshops and different events and readings that we have coming up.
Because among all of the outreach programs you have, I also know that you have one for military men and women as well, to get them involved. And how's that been going so far?
It's an ongoing process. We have a Vets Writer Studio, so veterans that are writing about, and it doesn't have to be about their experience as veterans, it could be about whatever, but it tends to be stories that are related to their particular experience in the armed services. But it's just kind of a casual writing group. It's free, it's open. They're welcome to come down and kind of talk about their work and hopefully meet some other people and make connections that way, because people think that writing is always this solitary thing, but it actually thrives more in a community, and we are very interested in trying to foster that community along and grow it.
And let's be honest, it's also a very cathartic thing to do.
Very, very much so, yeah. I think at different times when people have different difficulties, people tend to run to literature, particularly maybe poetry sometimes, when they maybe don't think about it the rest of the time. And it's always there, and there's a lot of amazing work being done for that kind of reader catharsis, but I think it's always, whether you consider yourself a writer or not, there's a lot to be had, a lot to be gained from that kind of expression and kind of reflection. Yeah. Creating some time for that in your life, I think, pays dividends for the mind and the body and the spirit. So,
Ryan Collins from the Midwest Writing Center, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Check it out. It's at the Rock Island Library. Speaking of funding, WQPT wants to thank many of you for your ongoing support of public television. Last Friday, we held our annual Champagne on the Rocks fundraising event at the Davenport Outing Club, and we want to thank the many people who came and those who generously gave money to support Quad City Public Television and the many outreach programs offered by WQPT. It was a chance for us to highlight some of the exciting things you'll see this year on your local public television station, so as always, stay tuned for an exciting year ahead. On the air, on the radio, on the web, and on your mobile device. Thanks for taking some time to join us as we talk about the issues on the cities.
Public Affairs programming on WQPT is brought to you by the Sing Group at Merrill Lynch, serving the wealth management needs of clients in the region for over 25 years.